Well, welcome everyone to another rendition of the Your Little Castle Show. Yours truly, the Cardinal Cowboy. We like to share the excitement in the community, as always, but sometimes we have experts that are multifaceted. They specialize in kind of coinciding areas. It's really the industries that we're talking about today coincide. That's my word of the day, coincide. You like that one? But it's true that every once in a while you get a business owner who's really on the ball and is helping to take care of business from two different angles that work together. And so we've asked Kyle to come back. Previously we talked about Pro Solar, STL, and today we're going to talk about home options made easy, and that's because between the two, you end up in a situation where they really do work together because how often do you have a roof and how often do you have solar on the roof? Right. And we want to talk about that. We also want to talk about specifically the reason this show came up was because there was a hailstorm that came through here. And I was videotaping the hailstorm as it came through. And I was just like, wow, this is a lot of potential damage. I was watching these things hit my deck and everything. And they seemed enough to where it would be something to be concerned with. And then I heard there were reports of like 1.5 inch. And that's where you start talking about some major damage.
Yeah, and that just happened just a couple weeks ago.
And that was a couple weeks ago. So Kyle, tell us a little bit about your roofing business and why you got in the roofing business and how that coincides with what you do a little bit there.
Well, we got into roofing in 2013 after I've been working in roofing for over 20 years, but started my own in 2013. We added solar to the lineup in 2018. Okay. But we started in roofing because it's something that everybody needs. It's something that we can do. And to be honest, I was terrible with computers, so I wanted to play outside, and we went into roofing.
Well, that makes sense. I have a bit of an aptitude for computers, so that's where I went the other direction. Mom and Dad kind of forced that one on me. Mom and Dad love you. Dad's upstairs. Mom's still here working with us. She just turned another big, I put X0. I don't say what the X is. If you can guess, she's 40, 50, maybe 60, maybe more. I don't know. But celebrating her birthday. But they said, you got to go to computer classes. I'm the inside guy with no heavy lifting. My dad would make the joke. But the outside work, there's a lot of need there. And so people that are experts with that. And it ties into what we do. So with that, I'll jump over to our sponsors. As you look up on the large TV walls behind us here, USA Mortgage, the Flowers team. We love what they do to help support us. As I have my mortgage license and was part of the whole idea to help market, and because my computer background, my internet marketing background, I've done this for so many other mortgage companies. So let's partner up and get your license. We'll do this. Great, and love it what we're doing there. The housing market is always exciting. With that though, we also have another great sponsor with Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things in your little castle. That makes sense, right? And so we've got Amy and Brooke, and they have been dynamite sponsors to have on the Your Little Castle. Kind of makes it coincides with our word of the day. You got to have a house. You got to have furniture for your house. So you're in your little castle. So appreciate that. With that, let's jump right back into. You've got some great information out on a number of places. There is your fan page, and then your website. So those are usually the things we put up on the TV walls, if you will. I'm going to put this one over behind us, so we've got one on each wall. And so. Robust website. I started digging through your website a little bit, and I'm like, wow, Kyle, you guys have spent quite a bit of time putting a whole lot of information out there. A lot of people, they just have, a good landing page, a little bit of contact information, a little bit of the history. Man, you've got tons of great information about why things happen, what they are, and we can go through that a little bit as we talk about the show here, what your expertise is. But tell me, what was the path that led to where you're at now? You talked about that a little bit, and I want you to kind of get into the way that your two businesses work together, and then I want to hit about that hail stuff that happened and why. You've got some special certifications that people need to know about, right? Because when you're certified to do what you do, that's something other people can't say they can do, and they're in the same business, right?
That's true. So in the construction industry, in roofing, there are, just in our market alone, there's over 1,700 companies that do roofing and siding, windows and doors, the same thing that everybody does.
Right.
In our market, alone, a few years ago we had 2,700 roofing companies, but we're in a position where I had to do something that I was good at. I had to do something that I was able to help people, because I consider myself a salesperson, but I'm not a salesperson. I'm more like a solution provider. I would rather provide a real fix than trying to sell something that somebody doesn't need.
Sure.
So we do it on what people need and what we can do to provide that service.
Well, and that's key to the survival and success of a business. I mean, I've had to go down that path a little bit myself. There's a lot of marketing people out there, but nobody's doing what we're offering to help businesses. And with that in mind, that's where you're setting yourself apart, because you've got to pick that thing apart to say, here's what you really need, and the specialties to be the expert with that. And that's where you've really dug in. That was impressive to me. That's why we want to have you back on to talk about it. And it's a competitive industry, and how often I feel like a salesperson isn't, like you said, a true salesperson isn't really a salesperson. They're the informer, right? They're saying, here's all the information, not just a little piece that makes us a nice little profit for a short-term gain, and then we're going to be out of business. I don't think about it that way, I don't think, but that's really what happens, I think. But the people that are in for the long haul, because it's easier. It's harder work up front, but it lasts a lot longer. You like to do things over and over again, or you like to get something done right and keep it going, right?
Well, and that's the thing with your house. Your house is your biggest investment. And when you're putting in windows that, yeah, you could get a $200 window. But do you want a $200 window that's going to last for 7 to 10 years? Or do you want a $400 window that's going to last for 25 years?
Great point.
Do you want to do a roof that you're going to spend, for the sake of argument, let's say $250 per 100 square feet on it, and people spend that on floors and think that roofing is so much, it's so expensive. But it's not really, when you consider that it's protecting everything you own.
Sure.
It's protecting everything you have. So we try really hard to make sure that we put everything to perspective. We take care of it the right way. But you could spend $250 on a roof per square. You could spend $350. You could spend $500 per square, depending on the materials you pick.
Right.
So I don't like to make decisions for people. I don't even like making decisions in my own house. I get told what I'm supposed to do. I fix it. That's just the way it is.
Good strategy.
So I take care of it for other people the same way. If I can show you what I think and why, it's up to you to decide what you want. I'd rather provide you the service you want.
As necessary, because you don't sell people things they don't need is the best fashion to be successful. That's great. Another question I think is going to be kind of interesting for you that I always like to ask, and that is, what is a hobby? What is the background that led to this all? Because you have a unique situation where you put kind of two things together that work really well. Roofing and the solar, they all coincide. You've got some other things we didn't talk about in our pregame prep that you told me before. That is, how often do they have a problem caused by the solar that the roofing guys don't know how to deal with? And that's where you really get to go in. I know today we're talking about the roofing side of it, but tell me a little bit about that and that background you had that led you here from a hobby perspective, or something that just kind of clicked in your brain to make this something you wanted to do.
For my hobbies, I will say that I'm a tinkerer. When most people go home and they go to relax, I go out into the garage and I will tinker. I will build furniture. I will. I have a hobby forge. I make knives, but I just tinker. And if I can, the way that I look at things is I think differently than most people, because I don't look at it as I'm only going to have this one pen. I'm going to have this pen do what it's supposed to do and work with the other 2 or 3 in different colors for a reason. So we try to do it as stages of a piece. Instead of you looking at the roof as just the roof and that's all I'm ever going to do, we do roofing and siding and windows and decks. We do the whole outside envelope, and we do that for a reason, for our insurance. But we do that because that is where the majority of the problems that people face on their homes, they come from there. The other things that you have in your house, your kitchens, your baths, the stuff that people want to do that is pretty, there are a lot of guys that are out there that are better at doing that than me. Can I do it? Sure, I do it at my house. Again, I get told what I'm supposed to fix and I do it. But is it something that we want to tell people and we want to do for our business? No. There's a lot of guys that do it better than me for those portions. So I like to focus on just what we're good at, and we do really well at making the home more energy efficient through all of those extra means. The insulation, the windows, the doors. We try to piece together the solution that's going to be the best fit for a long-term solution at your house.
Yeah, there's no cookie cutter that's going to make it work perfectly for anybody. These are all unique. I mean, you've seen the neighborhood. I've shown you pictures of the house because we were talking about the roof that I live in. And every house, there's like 5 floor plans, right? Mm-hmm. But still, every house ends up being unique besides that because, oh, well, this guy had a chimney, this one didn't. This one had a third car garage. This one didn't. This one had a deck that went across the back. This one didn't. I mean, all of those play into factors about the way water flows and the way things come through the system. I mean, talk about damage caused by water and hail. That's where you get the roof becomes so important, and then that solar tied into that again. Let's talk about a couple of things you've got going here. I'm going to jump around a little bit on you just a little bit. I was very curious when you walked in with a box of colored chalk. And so I was like, I know you have a daughter, I believe, right?
I do.
And I was like, okay, he's just helping carry his daughter's stuff and she's off at school, and maybe he's just going to put that away and he forgot to set it down. Not true.
No, we actually used it on a roof.
So hold that up for everybody if you would, because I think this is important. This is another differentiator, if you will. Where Kyle does something a little different, because I've been on a few roofs. I've done a little bit of roofing. My buddy says, Carter, I need some help. I need a roofing guy. Everybody knows you and trusts you. Come work for me. And I said, okay. And I got there and did that a little bit. And I'm like, not really what I want to do, but it's I'm a computer guy, whatever. But I saw the chalk circles. They would just put a circle, put a circle, put a circle. Got your white chalk. That's it. Why do you have multiple colors? That's something to me. It's like, okay, something's going on here now. Why is that?
Well, I typically use 2 or 3 colors on every inspection I do. Because there is damage that we're going to see, and when we're looking at a roof, you can have heat damage, you can have hail damage, you can have mechanical damage, you can have installation issues where the nails are kind of pushing back out against the shingles and it looks like it's damaged, but it's really a failure in the installation. There's a lot of things that we could see, and I don't like to do things twice, so I mark it out so that I can see it, and when I take a step back and I take a picture of it, we can see the whole big picture all at once.
Here's all the different types of, not just because, yeah, you're standing back, you can't tell what that is, but if you got circled a specific color, then
right,
you know that had this particular damage versus this has a different type. It has to be treated differently.
Right.
Okay.
So we do that just because I like to do it to make it so that everybody can see. When I show them a picture, they're going to know what's wind damage, what's hail damage, what's because of somebody else's mistake, what's somebody walking on the roof, or when you hang your Christmas lights, people damage roofs all the time and don't realize it until they start getting the granules washing out into their downspouts, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And it's mechanical damage when you drag stuff across the roof with an extension cord. You can actually rip the granules off the roof.
Sure, it depreciates the value or the integrity of the
product.
And so then you start to damage it, and then the next storm comes through, does more damage. I get it. Interesting. Wow, it's just that's why we like the brainiacs. I'm going to consider Kyle to be one of the brainiacs out there, and that's, some people call me that, and it's not necessarily a good thing when you're having a conversation with us because we've got so much information going through our head. But it is a good thing if you're a business consumer from a business guy who's that way, I think, because they've got so much data. Watch out, but they're going to make sure and get it done right because they've got so much in the brain that makes it happen.
Right.
Is that a?
I think that's true. No, I don't think it bothers me. I think it's funny because I get told the other way. But at the same time, I'm good at what I'm good at, and you're good at your stuff.
Yeah, that's where ultimately my dad. I always quote my dad. I hope that doesn't bother anybody, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And that is that he told me as a kid, you have to learn to specialize in one thing that you become very good at. The rest of that stuff won't matter because you will make enough money off the one thing you specialize at. You can just pay people
to do the rest.
The right way, and you want to have enough money where you're not doing it on cheap. We talk about this all the time. Cheap becomes very expensive. Mm-hmm. Like you said earlier, do you want to buy that window that's going to fail on you? And do the math. Let's talk about that. 7-year window. They don't tell you that probably. Oh, it should last, but always, $200 window as an example, 7 years, and then you end up with that window that says, all right, well, I could have bought one that was let's say 21 because I'm my football skills kicking in here. 21, that's 3 times longer, and it was only double the price. Hello.
Right.
Right. Those are things people don't consider.
And that's part of it. And when you're looking at things, can you find cheaper product? There's always a cheaper product. Isn't necessarily what you want, though.
Right. Very important stuff as we try to help everyone realize what's going on in our little planet. As we did. With that, I put on the Cardinal cowboy hat, and because we're talking about how we're helping the community, and that's what I would like to emphasize, and also sharing some great tips. If you just want to become a business owner, listen to guys like Kyle because they can tell you the tips that make it successful. You mentioned a little bit about the certifications. I want to put that up on the wall. We have that. I decided, in your case, every interview we do has its own unique perspectives that we put on. So I'm going to put this up on the wall for everybody to see. Tell everybody what we're looking at here. This is the certification website.
Correct.
HAAG. Tell everybody what that is.
The Hague certification is very commonly what most home inspectors use to get their certifications. Insurance companies are many of their home inspectors are Hague certified, and they will specialize in a specific section where they will use. If you look at the top right there, you just scroll past it. There's a residential, a commercial, and a wind damage. The wind is the hardest one of the three, to be honest. It doesn't seem like it should be, but it is actually the hardest one to get your certifications with. But the residential and the commercial roofing are very commonly done for a good inspector. Now, not every inspector is, but we like to try. We do our best and stay current on our certifications. We do carry Hague certifications. We carry certifications for energy efficiency, where we do home energy audits, a handful of others.
And I'd say the thing that I wanted to make that point was that how many roofing owners, business specialists, don't have that certification. I mean, I'd say very few actually do, because that's literally what the inspector coming there should have, right?
Right.
Ideally, so maybe he's working for some insurance company that didn't require that, but I would imagine, do most insurance companies have somebody who is certified?
Most of the time.
That's gonna
it's not every inspector, but I would say 60% or better of the inspectors out there are certified with Hague for doing this, because you kind of have to have some level of skill to even know what you're looking at.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. For you to have that as the roofing expert, you bring a lot more to the table for people to say, I know what they're going to come at you with. I know what they're going to be asking. I know what they're going to be looking for, because I've been certified for what they do and what they look for.
Right.
That's pretty powerful. I know there was one other gentleman, he talked about how he had been a roofing inspector before, but he didn't have the certification, I don't believe. I don't know anybody I've ever heard that has the actual certification and is the owner of a roofing company.
Right.
That's pretty neat. And I think that's a big advantage you offer your clients, and something to consider, everybody. If you're looking for service that's going to do well, get the guy who has the certification. And if you're looking to start your own business, look for the extra certifications you can gain so that you can provide that expertise.
Yep, and you can do that with even just your manufacturer suppliers. Your manufacturers, you get the right certifications from them, it carries over, it helps you. And it's good for the end user, it's good for the customers, because then they have the option for extended warranties that they wouldn't have otherwise. And when you're doing things like what we do with the roofing and solar, we can tie those together and offer an all-inclusive extended warranty, and a homeowner can have a 25 or a 30-year warranty on a total package instead of one piece.
Very important. Okay, because you are spending quite a bit of money on these types of projects, and you want to make sure these things last for a long time. It's no longer, or it's getting to be less and less of the wild, wild west. Right. As they say, but our country is kind of evolving here, and now they're talking about certifications and guarantees and those types of things. And you want to make sure you're getting them from the companies that and offer those things, because if you get a roof that's not guaranteed and it has a failure, you're buying another roof potentially. That can be very expensive also. So it's not just that cheap is very expensive, being not covered is very expensive too. So, all right, good information. All right, tell me a little bit more then. What is it about your business that really fuels your passion? I mean, you didn't just wake up one day and say you wanted to be a roofing guy, but what was the passion that led you there? I obviously say because you like to help people, you saw the industry needed some direction. Why did you decide to go, especially you wanted to get the certifications and all that?
I got the certifications because I wanted to help people more effectively. I actually got into it because my parents filed an insurance claim and did not get their roof bought, and it made me angry.
Okay.
So that's legitimately why I started.
There's that passion kick.
I started when I was 17, got into it because I got up there and did their roof for them because they didn't know how. I was already working in construction. Granted, I was a grunt. I was doing what I was told. I wasn't a thinker then.
Right.
But I did know how to work. So I started then when they filed their insurance claim and couldn't get their roof covered because of a caveat that they didn't know. I wanted to make sure that I didn't have that happen to people, I could help people do it the right way.
Okay, let's take a look at very, very important. Now I realize there's always some reason it clicks in sometimes. My parents got taken advantage of, and so you said, I'm going to step in and I will make it, and that's good, because when people have that passion, that's when they work much harder to get things done, and that's what we're looking for from the people who are going to do those types of, go the extra mile, they say, right? Let's take a look here. So on the wall next to Kyle over there. I'm going to go ahead and put this back up for everybody to see. Tell everybody what that is. That looks like some little nifty snowball or something, but except these aren't so soft as snowballs, right? What are these?
These are just pieces of hail and these just came down about 2 weeks ago.
That's an actual picture from a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is an inch and a half hail.
Inch and a half hail. That looks almost bigger than an inch and a half, but
It does, but it's
that'll
just
knock somebody
you
out.
got 5 or 6 of them in your hand, it throws off.
Okay, so this is the stuff that causes damage to where you end up going around with your chalk.
And we start marking it up.
You start marking it up. So here you've marked this. I think it's the other angle, but it's the KB something. What do you?
Yeah. So I make every guy when we're doing our inspections, we tag who was over on that roof, so that when we put the picture in the job file, so we can keep track of everything. We know who did the inspection. We can see. So F is front. When it's the back of the roof, it'll have the B on it.
Okay.
So we have front, back, left, and right. We have H is for hail, W is for wind, M is for mechanical. And we take one picture at the top of the roof that shows us all what we saw on our test squares. Okay. And then when you take a step back and you go on to the, if you would go on to the next picture.
Yeah.
You can see where we do the half circles is marking where we see hail. I did one big drag. That's a mechanical damage. Somebody drug something big on, so this right here, somebody drug something or they slid on the roof with their foot or something because they drug it over multiple shingles and it's almost a straight line. And that is definitely not common for hail damage.
Okay, so some mechanical damage.
Yep.
All right, and then we've got a little more here. Let's see what we've got. Oh, actually, I zoomed out there, so let me go back over here. What do we got here? Another mark?
Okay, so the underline here, this is actually right here, that dark spot right here. When you have I'm going to say a roofer that doesn't necessarily know what they're doing, they're going to try to say that everything is hail damage. And that's what happens in the industry. Everything is hail damage. In this particular case, this is actually heat blistering. And you can tell because the granules are, if you look at the black mark, the granules, the roof rocks, are sharper edged around the outside. And it's showing to us from this picture, it looks like a high definition image instead of a, I will say a flattened or a smoothed over.
Okay.
So this right here, and you can see the shadow line, that's where actually the heat actually baked the tar on the shingle until the point where it got hot enough to bubble or blister like your skin does, and it blew granules off.
Okay, got to get out my pen here and take some notes. Bubbles. All right, everybody. We try to emphasize, but there's times when you should be taking notes, so we got our supersized pencil here. But all right, everybody. All right, Kyle, I was taking some extemporaneous, what's the word they use? Copious.
Copious notes.
Copious notes with my magical copious note-taking pen here. And I realized you can get into some real depth of what's going on. And we're going to focus here a little bit on St. Louis and where these storms have hit. So let's shoot out for our super wide shot here. Take a look, everybody. On the wall over to the far right, to Kyle's right, you can see there, I'm going to put this on the screen for everybody to see too, but that is a map of the St. Louis region. We did 25 miles, right?
We did 25 miles from St. Charles zip code 63003.
Okay, and so right there you can see these are hail, documented hail hits, and the size that was tracked there. I mean, you're getting 1 inch here, 1.7. Wow, it tells the exact time that it happened. It was reported 1.75. Wow, I didn't realize there's that many. This is all in the last 6 months. You can see some of the dates on here. April, May, April. Wow.
Yeah, and in this search, this particular search we did was just the last 6 months.
Okay. And you can see down here, here's essentially the
individual reports.
Of everything, the actual report of everything. And when you click on that,
when you click on the right side, the map view, it'll bring up the map that's behind us.
Yeah, so if you look at that now, we zoomed into our other map. And wow, if you are in any of these areas, you can see where we set our target area, 25 miles. You see that circle around the edge of everything there. And so, yeah, now look around, and this is the last 6 months. This is what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody lives in these areas, they should definitely look at getting their roof looked at, because anytime you have, is it 1 inch or higher for sure you're going to have some damage, or how's that kind of work? It depends on the age of the
It
roof.
depends on the age of the roof. When the roof is less than 7 years old, 1 inch probably won't hurt it. Once it's over about 7 to 10, 1 inch hail can start hurting it. Anything over 2 inches will hurt even a brand new roof. So you're talking 1.5 is pretty statistically what we look for, 1.5 or better.
Okay. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. I talked about a way to really diagnose what's going on and figure out, you know, the damage that's happened in the area that you may or may not reside. Figure it out and get the experts to look at that, and give Kyle a call here, because he can nail this down for you, and make sure that you have a roof that is going to be sustainable, so you don't have much larger issues. Decided we need to snap some of the what people had to say about your business, because we look at the reviews people have, and you've got some good people that said some good things about you, and that's because you're doing a good job. So we'll put that back on the wall for everyone to see. But this is Slake.
It's like, yeah.
Slake. My home has been prepared as good as you can no longer tell. I had a fire. The professionals at Home Options Made Easy took care of everything, and I'm very happy with the results. After working with Home Options Made Easy, I would recommend them to anyone simply for the fact that they are honest, friendly, and take the time to answer my questions. I will work with them again should the need arise. So hey, there you go. And you remember working with Slike about his it was a fire? Wow, he had a,
Yeah.
that's a kind of a crazy one.
They unfortunately had a fire on the back of their house, and we had to do a deck and siding and a few windows, and it was a restoration so that it didn't burn the whole house down, but it burned the back wall out.
Great job there. All right, good work. Next one, I'll put this up for everybody to see also. This is Elizabeth. Kyle came out and met with my insurance adjuster, did all the work for me. He was able to point out additional things that had been damaged by the storm and make so they were replaced as well. The work started about 2 weeks after getting approval from the insurance company, and the job was done in just a few days. His crew took care of all the cleanup. Now I have a beautifully updated roof for my home. I will use Kyle again for my next home improvement project. All right, you've got a couple people. They're giving you the reviews because they love what you're doing. That's
Right.
very cool. All right, last one here. I used that we're going to share. You got many more, I know, but we're going to share these 3. I used this company to put new windows in my condo, and they did a fantastic job. They had my windows installed in 1 day and cleaned up after themselves when they were done. It's cutting off there. The price was half of what Anderson Windows were quoting me, and other window companies were quoting me, plus better windows than the other companies were trying to sell me. Interesting. Yeah, so I guess there's just some of them mark it up and say this is good. I don't know. It's just becoming an informed consumer is difficult, because how do you know?
And there's just misinformation everywhere. There is so much that you can find, and there's some of it's true. I mean, I won't say that it's all bad information. There's good information out there too. You just have to be able to sift through it.
All right, everybody. Hopefully you've been enjoying another rendition of I know you have, because it's a lot of fun we have here, and I have some very important notes that we've taken here along the way. So, Kyle, thank you for helping me take some important notes.
Thank
and we're
you.
going to do some more of that. And stay tuned for more, everybody. Giddy up.